A star hockey player, a ride on a train, an accidental gunshot, and some lessons for all of us in bouncing back from adversity. Hello and welcome to another edition of Chai with Pai, our weekly series of videos where I try and share simple stories and lessons to help each of us become just a bit better. Sandeep Singh was a hockey player who, right from the beginning, promised a hell of a lot. As a junior, he played for India and was a star in the Junior World Cup. At 18, he made his debut for India, and you could tell there was a star out there all set for greatness. He was a part of the World Cup team in 2006, and as the team assembled in Delhi to take off for the World Cup, Sandeep Singh was to join them from Chandigarh. So he took the Shatabdi from Chandigarh to get to Delhi and was excited to be joining his World Cup bound colleagues. Unfortunately, on that day, there was an RPF Jawan on the train in the same compartment as Sandeep. And even as that Jawan was trying to clean that gun, his rifle, it went off and a bullet lodged itself in Sandeep's spine. It fractured his ribs, it affected his liver. Sandeep was rushed to the hospital, but luckily he survived. But the doctors were worried. With the damage that had been caused, they weren't sure if Sandeep Singh would ever be able to walk again. The treatment was long, and even as they got to work on him, the challenge was the fact that Sandeep Singh had lost 40 kilos and was struggling to stand. They thought that they might be able to put him on a wheelchair and allow him to perhaps lead a normal life. Just the kind of story which makes all of us wonder, why do bad things happen to good people? Fast forward then to 2 years later, the man who people weren't sure would ever be able to walk actually fought his way back to fitness and rejoined the Indian team. He came back to play hockey for India, and not just that, a year later, he went on to captain the Indian hockey team. What a story. Sometime in 2018, I had the privilege of being a speaker at TEDx Mica in Ahmedabad. And guess what? Sandeep Singh was a fellow speaker. And it was such an honor and a pleasure to meet Sandeep and to hear his story. And I thought there were a couple of lessons from that story, which I must share with you today. Lessons which I think can help all of us in our fight to overcome adversity and to bounce back. Sandeep was mentioning how, even as he was lying in hospital, the first thing he remembers as he regained consciousness was him asking his brother where his hockey stick was. And he asked his brother to bring that hockey stick. And that hockey stick apparently never left Sandeep Singh's eyes. It was there in his hospital room, it was there in his bedroom as he recovered, and through that entire 2-year journey of recovery, Sandeep never let go of that hockey stick. And he says that even as the doctors worked on him and worried about his ability to even stand on his feet, he was dreaming of playing hockey again. And he never let go of that dream. That is such a powerful idea for all of us. Never let go of that dream. Never let go of hope. Keep that fire burning, and that will help us to tide over adversity. The second lesson out of Sandeep Singh's story is this. Learn to defy the verdict, but don't argue with the diagnosis. The doctor said there was a problem. He knew he had been affected. His ribs were fractured, his spine was affected, his liver, his kidney were all impacted. True. And if people said that that would mean that he would never be able to play hockey again, he says, nah, that's a verdict I'm going to defy. So no arguing with the facts, no trying to go into denial to say that there is no problem and all is well with the world. Don't do that, but defy the verdict. And that is something we can all learn to do. The mistake we sometimes make is to start arguing with the diagnosis. We start arguing with the facts. We get into denial mode. Don't let that happen. Don't argue with the diagnosis, but defy the verdict. and defy Sandeep did. What a powerful story. A story to inspire us all, particularly I think in times like these when it can make all of us wonder, why do bad things happen to good people? So remember those lessons from Sandeep. Keep that hope alive. Never lose sight of that hockey stick. And yes, don't argue with the diagnosis. Just defy the verdict. That's all in this edition of Chai with Pai.